Would you play a tactical strategy game with cool art, a deep storyline that has different factions that you can join in order to battle other players? Well, 100,000 people already have, and what's crazy is that this game is built on the blockchain. Welcome back to another episode of What's New Wednesday. It is October the 23rd, and we will be covering things that have happened in the world of crypto between October the 16th and October the 23rd. Topics are: Bitcoin has had a small correction and is testing a new support around 66K. Will we see crypto head back towards all-time highs, or are we heading back down? We'll be talking about that. Shardbound is a tactical strategy blockchain game that has recently gone live on Epic and Steam stores and has already passed 100,000 downloads, which is pretty significant. We're going to take a peek at the game and see what all the fuss is about. Openloot has just announced an Openloot reward points leaderboard where participants can win part of 500 million OLRP. So that's pretty exciting. And last week we mentioned that there was this new update for bigtime. We kind of covered it a bit last week, but there's a lot of changes that we need to break down. So we're going to go through some of those big changes and give our opinions on it. But first things first, let's get into the crypto side of things. Last week we mentioned that 70K was a new price to beat, and we talked about sine wave theory and what that might be suggesting, maybe like a pullback to new support range at 65K before making one final move back up towards all-time highs, and we did see that. So let's jump into some charts. Last week we had talked about how we had this bullish price movement the week before, right? And where were we gonna go? We were talking about sine wave theory because there was someone saying that we're gonna be at 130K by the end of January, and sine wave theory they had done, I didn't agree with. So I said my own sine wave theory analysis would have been that we started a new wave down at the beginning of September. We have one move up, 1, 2, 3, 4 was what I was expecting. We get a pullback to about 66K, and then we might get one last push up towards all-time highs. So far that has played out the way that I was expecting. We got this pullback started happening on Sunday, hit just below 65K. Now it's starting to make some moves back upwards. So what's gonna happen here? Who knows? But we got an article here from Benzinga that kind of goes over some different opinions. This article quotes a few different analysts with different opinions here. So one analyst is saying that they expect to see a bunch of sideways movement. They expect to see Bitcoin price crab along for a while before we see Bitcoin continue upwards. Another analyst says we might have one more minor pump before we head back down towards 60K. So we got CryptoCon. He says that he's the one talking about how he thinks the price is going to crab and consolidate for a little bit longer. The longer consolidation period lasts, he says, the greater potential for upside, and added that the price has been in one of the longest stretches within the low volatility zone of the weekly Bollinger Band width. This suggests that Bitcoin is preparing for a bull market expansion, he says. Whereas Credible says he predicts there's going to be a bounce from here, and then we're going to see final longs before the rug pull, he says. And if you look at his chart, you can see he's really projecting the price to go back down towards 60K. Is he going to be right? Who knows? We might see that happen. Like if you look at the charts right now, we do see this nice 4-hour candle here. Looks like the price is moving upwards, but will it follow? Which analyst is correct is the real question. We have one other guy here, crypto trader Mustache, who highlighted that the golden moment indicator for Bitcoin has recently crossed bullish. He said that this situation has only happened 4 times in the past 4 years, and each time this has happened, it's led to significant bullish price action. So there's a lot of sort of conflicting opinions here. Where is the cryptocurrency going to go? It's kind of hard to say. You know, got Rex Capital saying that Bitcoin is retesting this channel top as a support, 66K, which is kind of what I was expecting to happen last week, and they think that the price is going to go back up. While there may be temporary dips below this level, the key is for Bitcoin to close above the channel top on the weekly chart to confirm the successful retest and maintain its upward momentum. So what do I think? I do think that we have at least one more pump towards all-time highs in us in for the near future. But I'm unsure if we're going to be able to flip 70K into support at all, if at all, for very long. But that's the next price to beat. If we can flip 70K into support, then we'll start moving, hopefully, into some uncharted territories. So that's what I think about crypto for now. We'll see. But I do think that if we can turn 70K into support, we'll be getting pretty. But we'll have to see. Next topic, Shardbound. So this is that tactical strategy game. It's kind of snuck under my radar. For me, I just heard about it because they've had some success with over 100,000 downloads. That's not off the grid level success, but it's definitely noteworthy. So let's take a look at the game. Let's see what all the fuss is about. There's a video here we can watch. Okay, so it launched on Epic Store, it launched on Steam. The gameplay doesn't look terrible. Graphics are all right. Got that sort of hexagonal battle sort of strategy environment. I grew up playing games kind of like this, so yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Looks like they got a pretty cool story. They say, get ready for an epic adventure. Shardbound began with the world break, shattering the realm into countless shards. Now it's your mission, Ranger, to conquer these worlds and weave your destiny into the life weave. So that's kind of neat. Interesting sort of art style for the narration. As far as the gameplay goes, I think that the art style is a little bit different, but like, let's take a look at their website. So pretty straightforward website. You can connect your wallet. It's on the immutable blockchain. So lots of IMX games coming out these days. And if you are collecting gems, immutable gems, there is a new campaign for the immutable gems. And all you have to do is win 3 PvP matches, and then you succeed at the quest, right? It says right here. Earn 100 gems, win 3 PvP matches, and snag 100 gems. Are you ready to rise to the challenge? So that's probably partly why it's doing so well. I've got it downloaded on Epic Games right now. I haven't checked it out yet, but we might check it out on Sunday and see what all the fuss is about. But that's about it for that. Moving onwards. Openloot. So Openloot made this announcement 2 hours ago. Gamers, new OLRP leaderboard announced. Upwards of 500 million OLRP is up for grabs in this leaderboard, celebrating the lead up to the Openloot tokens TGE. Okay, looking pretty chic. Small little medium article here. What an exciting time to play big time. Starting now and ending October 29th, we will be holding another leaderboard rewarding Openloot reward points. How do you score points? Open as many Openloot reward point chests as possible and win even more Openloot reward points. 500 hard-working big-time players will divide between themselves upwards of 500 million Openloot reward points, blah, 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 blah. So check out the leaderboard. Let's check out the leaderboard. Looks like we got Kabbalist in the first right now, the homie Kabbalist. So how much does first place get? 1.5 million OLRP, which ends up being 150,000 Openloot tokens, if I did my math correctly, which you never know. But that would be insane. That is insane, chat. That's a lot of tokens. So pretty simple leaderboard, very short amount of time. It's only like a week long, but if you guys have some spare big time tokens kicking about, best get opening those Openloot reward point epoch chests and get your piece of the pie. I'm pretty big time token poor right now, so kind of gonna be a tough one for me to compete in. I might get in the top 500. I don't know. We'll see. So speaking of big time, moving into the big time topics, last week, big time put out a doozy of a patch, and it was pretty rough, especially the beginning when all these changes happened. A lot of people were frustrated, freaking out. People were quitting the game. They were dropping all of their base and time wardens and hourglasses and stuff like that on the market for super cheap. And we saw the prices go down like crazy. They've since bounced back. Anyways, things were selling for dang cheap, like super cheap. Space went down 50%. It was a pretty tough deal. Like we saw 2 days ago, someone was buying buying rare time wardens for 375. The price has since shot up to 639. So what happened? What happened? So they made a few different changes. So let's focus on the bonus rolls right now. This is one of the big changes that they made. Controversial changes. So before this update, dark purple bonus rolls couldn't stack together, but the multipliers worked differently. So say you had a 25% less time crystal cost roll and you got a quad right on it, and that 4x multiplier would make it so that the roll would be free, because 25% 4 times is 100%, right? That was nice. Everybody would like that. Be free. Free is good, right? That's what we want. But now it's been switched to this successive model. So now a 4x multiplier off of like 25% less time crystals would make it so you get 25% off, and then you get 25% off of that 25% off, and then 25% off of that 25% off, and so on. So what the result would be that the final cost would be a 68% discount. So that kind of sucks, right, in general, but they were having problems with balancing, I guess, so they felt like they needed to make this change. But okay, so is it better at all? Is there any way we can look at this in a positive way? Kind of. So with this successive thing, we're now able to stack multiple multipliers. So imagine this roll, right? 240 more minutes, quad right, quad left, double horizontal. All of these things stack together to make 12x multiplier, which is pretty insane. So there are some sort of interesting new developments here that I think could really be pretty cool. But who does this benefit, right? You have to have a workshop that's over level 10 to be able to even have more than 2 roll slots, right? Typically your workshop starts out right with just only 2 spots. So in an instance like this one up here, all it does is, right, it's worse, because if you had a 4x multiplier and a 25% less time crystal thing, and you only have those 2 slots, then you're gonna be getting a 68% discount instead of a 100% discount. So if you have workshops under level 10, this change sucks. But if you have workshops over level 10, this change is pretty cool. They say here that moving forward, this change not only helps us maintain a balanced experience for all players, but also opens the door for more exciting global role configurations. With this update, we've unlocked the potential for even crazier bonus rolls percentages and higher than 4x multipliers. So yes, they did, but really they only did that for whales, essentially, for people who have been willing to bite the bullet and pay the $60 to level up your time warden to level 10, or $15 to level up your forger or armory to level 10 multiple times, right? So this, in my opinion, it's not the way that they say it. It's not a balanced experience for all players, because if it was, then it wouldn't matter what level your workshop was. So I still don't really jive with this change too much. What it's doing is it's basically forcing people to have to upgrade their workshops up and above level 10 so that they can actually benefit from this new rolling scheme. So yeah, I mean, how do I feel about it? Overall, kind of neat, but also really kind of not. So I don't really like it. I don't really like it, but I can see some potential. It's just now I'm gonna have to spend hundreds of more dollars to level up all my workshops high enough to actually be able to benefit from this new bonus roll modifier setup. I don't know. If you guys are watching this in the future, let me know in the comments what you think about it, and maybe you do like it. Okay, moving on. We can't stay on this topic forever. We got to go to the next controversial topic. So this change pretty much caused a lot of people to quit the game and sell all their stuff for super cheap. Yeah, it was pretty crazy seeing the reaction, especially people who have just been farming big time metaverses for cracked hourglasses and dismantling them to get big time tokens. This change forces those farmers to actually have to grind the game and get schematics in order to dismantle cracked hourglasses now, as well as schematics to be able to craft hourglasses. So this slows down the inflation of the big time token entering the market by a lot though, right? We saw shortly after this change, big time's token price went up 30%, and it's still in a pretty good spot. But this change happened, the token price went up 30%. So what that means to me is that essentially the amount of big time tokens entering the market from cracked hourglasses and people farming cracked hourglasses was about 30%. So 30% of the circulating supply entering the broader market for big time tokens was from people farming cracked hourglasses. And with this change, you can see instant feedback, and really it is for the better, right? Token price is improving, and the secondary market has bounced back after the initial FUD and all the people were mad and quit and whatever. So it's kind of cool for the average player. It's not cool for just people who've been farming mining and extracting. But kind of like, okay, I'm happy about that because I'm not really just like a value extractor. I'm a player, I'm a crafter, you know, I've got a decent sized metaverse, but I'm no whale. But it's definitely caused a lot of whales to freak out. But I do think the majority of the reason why we saw the price go up so drastically was because the amount of big time tokens entering the market was reduced by about 20 or 30% is my guess. So let's go over this article. Exciting changes have arrived, especially for crafting enthusiasts. We made some tweaks to crafting recipes as we kick off our new distinct crafting journeys for NFTs. As mentioned before, we shall be embarking on distinct crafting journeys for most NFTs. To start that process off with a bang, we have made some changes. To craft an hourglass, you now need an hourglass schematic of that same rarity. Same thing for dismantling, you need a cracked hourglass schematic of that rarity. You'll be able to find these schematics dropping in portals, but that's just the beginning. Future updates will introduce quests that reward schematics in abundance, and certain mobs will become known for dropping bundles of schematics. And when this update first went live, people were trying to have a good attitude about it. They go in, they're trying to grind some dungeons so that they can get their schematics, and they were barely dropping, which for like the whales was giving them a bit of a heart attack because they're like, how many hours do you think that I will have to play the game in order for me to dismantle all of my cracked hourglasses that I'm looting like crazy in my giant metaverses? So there's been an update since then, a little patch since then, and the cracked hourglass schematics are definitely dropping a lot more frequently. People are starting to be able to actually dismantle their hourglasses, but it comes back down to like, why did Big Time have to do this? They blindsided us with it. We didn't expect this to happen. At first, I was quite frustrated, but I started thinking about it, and it really does benefit the average player like a lot. It makes it so that we get more value, right? And all these value extractors are going to have a harder time, and they're going to have to actually play the game. So yeah, schematics are dropping a lot now, which is good. I think there's probably going to be some more fine tuning that happens throughout this new crafting experience, but overall, I think it is beneficial. I wish I had the capital to pick up all those space time wardens and hourglasses that people were dropping on the floor while they were cheap. Now I've missed my boat, but I just didn't have the cash. So what are you going to do, right? But yeah, so that's one of the biggest changes for this new update. We kind of went over the patch notes last week. This is some things that we weren't able to cover at that time, so thought we should break it down. That's it for What's New Wednesday this week, guys. If you are watching this in the future, be sure to like, be sure to follow, subscribe, leave a comment, and don't forget to tell somebody about it, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.